Hello guys and welcome to volokinproject. It's Tony here, your favorite YouTuber. Today I'm going to review a rather rare phone on my channel called the Tecno 30 Pro Spark Transformers Optimus Prime Edition. Now, this phone was released in Asian and African countries back in, I think, September 2024. Couple of YouTubers did the unboxing and never really actually bothered to do a full proper review of this phone. Of course, a couple of months later, when the prices dropped, when I had a chance to purchase it, I got one, not because I'm a super fan of Transformers, I like it of course, but I'm a super fan of weird and rare mobile phones. If you want to know a little bit more what's in the box, watch my dedicated unboxing video, but for now I'm just gonna leave it over here. Now I have to begin with the fact that this is my first ever Tecno phone, simply because over here in the UK they're not very popular. No one knows what Tecno really is, and as I was setting up the phone initially, there wasn't even an option in the countries to have a UK in it. This is so much evident that this phone is definitely not intended for the European markets, let alone the UK, but all of that is fine because the phone works just fine, guys. Now, I have to begin with the fact that this is a 4.5G, it's not exactly a 5G phone, which I guess is quicker than 4G, but slower than 5G. I couldn't care less because the reception over here in the UK is pretty much terrible. I've read an article recently that London had the worst 5G in all of Europe or something like that. So yeah, now price wise, how much this phone cost when it was released? Well, it was about $220, which is an amazing value for money, guys, because this is a mid-range phone. However, it's definitely good enough to do all of your daily tasks. Now, the case that you see over here, I got it from Ali, of course, because they forgot to put a case in the box, guys, and that is something that I've watched in other review videos of this phone. No instruction and no case in some of the phones, which is my case essentially. But anyways, I got a replacement one. Now let's start with the design. It's absolutely amazing, guys. I had one of the friends of mine ask me, "Oh, is that the case for an iPhone?" And I was like, "Mate, how?" What? How do we even start explaining to him what this phone is? So people have no idea, but definitely it is very, very cool, guys. Now, before I go to any detail about the review itself, I want to start with something that I usually conclude my videos, the Vlogging Spectrum scoring system. I had about 180 Android devices which I have used and reviewed, and you can see that I'm giving them a score from 0 to 5 essentially on the most main categories, and this phone scores relatively high, guys. It's up on par with the Nubia Z60S Pro, which is absolutely crazy. That was Nubia's flagship, and this is barely a mid-range phone. So you can see it, I'm gonna put it on the screen over here. A very, very high scoring for essentially a mid-range phone, because apart from the design and a little bit more memory, there is no difference between the actual usual model and this limited edition version. But of course, that was the thing that most impressed me, the design of this phone. I'm still really not sure if that's glass or plastic, but you can see the 3D depth effect over here, guys. It is absolutely, absolutely amazing. Now, the phone itself is a little bit on the bigger side, I must admit. And you slap a case, it becomes evident that this phone is too big. However, it is very, very slim, guys. And considering we have a 5000 milliamp hours of battery inside, this is actually quite good. Now, when we talk about the battery life of this device, guys, I'm happy to report that you can actually almost manage to push 9 to 10 hours of screen on time. And of course, the usual, I'm getting about 7 hours of screen on time. I'm gonna post a couple of screenshots over here so you can have a look. And the battery itself, well, it supports only 33 watt charging, so 15 minutes, 32%, half an hour, 58%, and full charge takes place after 1 hour and 10 minutes, which is not very quick, but it's, well, it's, let's say, serviceable, guys. Now, in terms of security, you have a built-in fingerprint reader, which is exactly at the right place, just over here, guys, and works 100% of the time. Now, the face unlock is a little bit annoying, it's a little bit unreliable. Of course, now it's gonna work in front of the camera, but let's say you shave, you get a haircut, forget about it. You have to set it up again, which is not very nice, but you know, it is what it is. Design-wise, I have absolutely no complaints apart from one thing. The camera ring over here, the selfie camera ring, they decided to make it silver to stand out. This is a very dumb decision, guys, and it really gets into your eyes because it's reflective, but that's just a minor gripe. Otherwise, at the bottom, 3.5mm jack, which is really good. However, it is a little bit not loud enough, guys, especially you have a little bit proper you know, headphones. It's okay. I would rather have this headphone jack than no headphone jack, let's put it this way. Now we have stereo speakers, one speaker over here. It's interesting that they've put the other speaker over here on top, guys. The issue with those speakers is the quality is good, the volume is good, however they're like 70-30, 70% coming from here, 30% coming from there, a little bit disbalanced, but nevertheless. One other distinct feature is this dynamic island over here. I like it, it copies the iPhone of course, but I like it. The button placement is amazing, power button over here, volume buttons over here. On this side we have a SIM tray. Now, dual SIM tray plus a memory card slot, guys. So we have 3 slots over here. It's been a while since I've seen that. One other you know, distinct feature of this phone is this infrared port over here is actually at the back and looks like a camera ring, which absolutely makes sense. This is the first time I have ever seen that on any other phone, guys, because standing like this, you just use the phone as a remote. There is an application, by the way. You just press the button and you just hold the phone like that. It's actually better than the usual way that you hold the phone like this, because you can actually see what you're doing on the screen. So kudos for Tecno for doing that. Now let's talk about cameras a little bit. At the back we have one fake camera over here. I'm not sure if it's 2 megapixel or something. I'm not gonna talk about that at all. And we have a, let me see how much was the megapixel, 108 megapixel camera, 108 megapixel Samsung S5K M6 sensor, guys. Unfortunately, the photo quality is not very good. Now, since we had absolutely no sun for the last 5 months over here in the UK and I was busy at work, I didn't have the chance to take many proper photos to test the camera, but with the ones that I took, I'm really not happy with the camera, guys. It's serviceable, you can work with it day-to-day basis, however, it's definitely not holiday approved, guys. The images look a little bit realistic, a little bit soft. I'm really not a fan. And in terms of you know, videos, okay guys, so testing the rear camera of the Transformers phone. No stabilization in 1440p, unfortunately, so the image will be a little bit shaky, especially if we decide to run like that. But let's turn the stabilization on and see what happens. There is 1080p 60, but again no stabilization, so it's pointless to try. So currently 1080p 30 fps with stabilization on, and this is the result that we're getting, guys. All right. However, I'm very happy to report that at the front, actually, we have a surprise, guys. 13 megapixel Galaxy Core camera with a front-facing flash. How many times do you see that in modern phones? Let me just quickly show you. Hello. Let me just quickly show you guys what we are dealing with. Have a look at that. We have a front-facing flash which is 100% hidden. You can definitely not see that at all, guys. It's hidden over here, which is amazing, and it results in selfies taken in the complete darkness, which look like this one over here. And overall, I'm super happy with the quality of the front-facing camera. Have a look at a few examples. I definitely didn't expect that this to be a proper selfie phone, but surprisingly it is. It supports a 1440p resolution without stabilization, unfortunately, and we have a 1080p. However, the stabilization is doing a pretty terrible job over here, guys, and the quality is just not there. So I'm really not very happy with the video output.
Okay guys, so the phone supports 2K, however no stabilization whatsoever, so everything is shaky. Let's have a look at 1080p with stabilization now. Okay, and that's what we have with stabilization. If we do a quick run, we get a result like that, and of course there is 60 FPS, but there is no stabilization, so yeah, that's what we have to work with.
Now, in terms of the internals of the phone, we have 256 gigs of storage, which is pretty much the sweet spot nowadays, because 182 feels a little bit less than you want. 8 gigs of RAM, absolutely no RAM issues that I've noticed whatsoever of this device, and Helio G100 SoC inside, which means the following: day to day, basic tasks are pretty much okay. However, every now and then you're going to see a stutter here and there. It's not very bad, but it's definitely something to consider. But as I said, day-to-day tasks are fine. The screen being 6.78 inch AMOLED screen, 120 Hz, you're not gonna have an issue with this screen. It works as intended. We have a nice dark theme, of course, and overall the software, I'm quite happy. I haven't really noticed any bugs with it. Now, the screen might not be the brightest one outside, but again, I live in the UK where we had no sun for the last 5 months, so keep that in mind, guys. I'm okay with the screen, of course. Now the other thing is updates. That's something that you're going to struggle, guys, because I have never really had an update of this phone, which is not very good. Let me just scroll back down quickly and see. Tecno Spark 30 Pro, okay. Let's have a look, guys. The iOS, as I said, is pretty much excellent. I have no issues with the operational system. However, check this out. Android version 14 security update, 5th of August 2024. Now, this phone came out in September and the latest security patch is from August, which means that it had absolutely no updates ever. If you know how to update these Tecno phones, please do let me know. Maybe there's something that I'm missing, like the ZTE devices that you have to update manually the old school way. Maybe, I have no idea. If you know, I'm happy if you could let me know, please. But there's a big chance that there will be no updates whatsoever. Something to keep in mind of. The other thing is the gaming experience, guys. Now, with lighter games, you're not gonna have any issues with that. But for example, with a game like Wreckfest, which is a couple of years old now, and usually it requires a let me see. Wreckfest is not really. I've transferred the save. Oh, anyways, I'm not gonna do that now. Unfortunately, I can't really show you that, but on the lowest graphical settings, it's barely playable, guys, and it's pretty bad. I really don't want to game on this phone. However, lighter games, I can imagine that you're not gonna have problems with that. And Call of Duty, for example, I know it's old game, but it's still, old but gold. Works absolutely fine in this particular device. So overall, I would say that it's a very, very good package, guys. They did something absolutely amazing over here. For 220 bucks, they gave you a limited edition phone with a very capable front-facing camera, memory card slot, headphone jack, infrared port at the back. Of course, the performance is not exactly there, and the biggest disappointment probably is the back camera. But keep in mind, if you want to go on a holiday, you need a Samsung Galaxy device, you need a Oppo Find series, or you need a Pixel. Pretty much these are the three phones that you have to take with you on a holiday. This is not a holiday approved phone. However, for the money, it is an absolute bargain, guys. If you can still take one of these limited edition phones, it looks absolutely amazing and it's a conversation starter. So yeah, I'll conclude this video with that. I'm very pleasantly surprised of this phone, guys. As I said, I never had a Tecno phone before. However, I'll definitely have a look at some other phones of the brand, because I actually like what I see, guys. I know it's not intended for the UK, but it works just fine, and I'm pleasantly surprised, which rarely happens. Sometimes you buy a Chinese manufacturer phone and is just not good. I had quite a few sent for me for a review back in the day. I stopped doing those because they were just not good, guys, and there were a couple of phones that I actually rejected and set back. They were that bad. However, this one I bought it with my own money, of course, because I'm a fan of the weird and rare phones, and I'm actually pleasantly surprised. So yeah, let me know in the comment section below, is there another Tecno phone I should be looking for? How do I apply any updates of this phone, and have you actually used a Tecno phone before? Let me know if you like it or not. So pretty much that's it, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Adios.